Hello, everybody. Happy, what is it? Thanksgiving Eve, right? The night before Thanksgiving. Is that a thing? Also, happy Wednesday for everybody else around the world. My name is Olga. Perhaps you follow me as Honest Press across the socials, and I'm truly grateful for you. Now, we will focus on global news, but as I always say, we also focus on national American news because that manages to screw up everybody equally. So, we will be, of course, talking about the holidays and going to talk about the biggest story, right? The US Kremlin pact against the US and Europe, essentially, and the response and whatever that also triggered. Also, recently, the horrible event that happened in Washington, D.C., where two National Guard troops were shot. And again, any kind of violence is horrible and horrific. We do not know what was the premise. We don't know who was doing what. And at this point, there is so much confusion, unnecessary confusion, seemingly created by the administration because they're looking for something to come up with. Again, if you heard something that I haven't yet because I was preparing this live stream, please let me know. But of course, we're going to watch some videos. Also, today, JD Vance went to Kentucky to talk to troops, and I do have this video, and that's why my live stream was a bit later because I wanted to catch his speech, and you will not regret it because that will be very entertaining, to say the least. Hi, Mike. Hello, people. Now smile on your brother. Everybody got together and try to love someone right now. Yes, please maybe try not to love each other at this point. Let's watch the news. Hi, Irene. Hello. I think this session will be quite interesting. Yes. Hello, I was on social media break. I think I'm back now. Oh, Mike, yes, you're back. Perfect. Absolutely. I've got a nice glass of Virginia. Oh, bourbon. Nice. Beautiful. Honesters. Hi, Linda. Oh, that's a beautiful name. I love it. Yes, happy Thanksgiving to you and all my friends. Yes, happy Thanksgiving to everybody, of course, in the United States. And if you're celebrating anywhere around the world, and this is something I want to begin with. It turns out Thanksgiving is also being celebrated in Greece because we do have an ambassador in Greece. And she attended such Thanksgiving celebration as for the first time as our official United States ambassador. Enjoy.
The ambassador, please join me.
What are you going to say? The most transparent administration ever, right? First, let's talk about the storm. So, a powerful winter storm threatens Thanksgiving travel. If you made it already to your destination, beautiful, but be please on the lookout when you are headed back home. A potent winter storm could disrupt holiday travel across much of northern United States, just as millions hit the roads and skis for Thanksgiving. A cold plunge is gripping the upper Midwest and northern Great Lakes with strong winds and rapidly falling temperatures. Even in New York City, the balloon people gonna be sore the next day because it's gonna be very windy. Now, winter storm and blizzard warnings are now in effect for more than 5 million people, including residents of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Now, though the blast may not be the season's strongest, it marks a sharp departure from the mild sweater weather conditions much of the country has enjoyed heading into the holiday weekend. By Thanksgiving, temperatures across the central and eastern U.S. are expected to drop as much as 20 degrees Fahrenheit below seasonal averages. So, and if somebody does not understand, the point of, global warming, then at least they will trust those numbers, right? Because they only believe it when it gets actually hotter and colder, right? Now, speaking of Thanksgiving, and let's cover that first. I promised you yesterday that I will be showing you the inflated. That's the word I was looking for yesterday, and I called them blown up dolls. In fact, they are, but it inflated, right? You see here how beautiful we have our beautiful, the very beloved toys, so to speak, and balloons every year, of course, with Snoopy and all that, right? And they have some very different ones. I think 3 of the new ones are premiering tomorrow. But, before the social media, right? Now I'm going to sound like a dinosaur. We New Yorkers, we used to go to Upper West Side and have no problem watching the balloons being inflated. This was our insider thing until TikTok showed up and those influencers, God damn it, put out this thing. Oh, this is a secret location only for insiders, only for insiders. And this is what the line looked like going and watching those balloons to be inflated. Take a look. Thank you, Wall Street Walking. This was their video and the picture before as well. Certainly, I had to decide whether to prepare this and the news briefing and the newsletter or just walk in line, and I selected or chose to be here. Okay, so forgive me. Now, tomorrow, of course, the parade is happening, but also this holiday is used by our officials, right, to visit our troops. Troops who sacrifice not just their lifestyle and their comfort, but their life, right? They make the significant and ultimate sacrifice to protect our safety and protect us, right? And so at this point, while President Trump is in Mar-a-Lago, he will be holding some type of a call tomorrow with the troops, but from Mar-a-Lago out. But J.D. Vance, vice president, went to Kentucky to talk to troops. And, without any further explanation, please enjoy this 1 minute and 20 seconds.
It's a uniquely American thing. That's why, for example, we have Turkey. Think about Turkey. Who really likes, be honest with yourselves, who really likes Turkey? You're all full of shit. Everybody who raised your hands. I know. Think about it. And here's how I know that every single one of you who raised your hand is lying to me. How many times do you roast an 18-pound turkey just randomly? Just, a nice summer afternoon, we're going to go get an 18-pound turkey. Nobody does it because turkey doesn't actually taste that good. But on Thanksgiving, on the most American holiday, I got a fan over here, on the most American holiday, we're going to cook a turkey, by God, because that's what Americans do. We cook this gigantic American bird, and we do all kinds of crazy things to make it taste good. I talked to a soldier today, who she said she's going to deep fry a turkey, and I'm actually going to deep fry a turkey myself tomorrow. And look, here's the thing. If you've got to deep fry something to make it taste good, it probably isn't that good. That's a pretty good rule of thumb when it comes to food. Chicken is good all the time. Chicken is good when you deep fry it, but it's also good outside of it. But here's the thing about Thanksgiving.
He's closer to be a president of the United States than any other vice president in the recent, at least, history. Not even Kamala Harris. I saw President Biden on a daily basis. So, well, congratulations, those 70 plus million people who voted for this duo, and for those 89 or whatever million people who decided to sit at home. God, he's second in line. Yes, Turkey is awesome. JD at Turkey, what a moron. Yeah, and Canadians, exactly. Most American holiday, Canadian, yes. Listen, Linda, I think JD Vance is so far from knowing that there's actually Thanksgiving in Canada, and then, woohoo, when he realizes it's not on the same date, that will be a thing, right? Now back to some normal news and inspiring news. The Olympic flame for the 2026 Winter Games has been lit in Greece. Now the flame began its journey toward 2026 Winter Olympics that begins in February, and of course Paralympic Games that follow later. This will be in Milano Cortina. That's why it's called Milano Cortina 2026 in Italy. Now, over 63 days, the flame will be carried by 10,000 torchbearers traveling roughly 12,000 kilometers through Greece, across Europe, before arriving in Italy. And so this was a big ceremony. Please take a look.
Now the flame is lit as Diardo returns to receive it in her bowl.
When you watch this video, you truly realize how we have been conditioned to this 10-second clips, right? Because you're like, well, okay, come on now. Okay, it's lit. All right. Okay, pass it, right? Or it's just me. Anyway, see how we're starting with some good and positive news? Yes? Okay, I'm warming you up. Now, other good news. Poland selects a new partner for major submarine program. And who do you think? Do you think is JD Vance? Or, I do have a picture here with Polish president and actually Prime Minister Tusk. And here you go. Poland selects Sweden, right? They chose officially Sweden as its industrial and defense partner for its next generation submarine effort, marking a significant deepening of Nordic Central European military ties. Sweden's sub, home to a world-leading submarine program, called the choice a strong confirmation of the competitiveness of its defense industry. Both countries stressed that the decision reflects a shared view of European security challenges and a commitment to strengthen stability in the Baltic Sea region. Quote, in a time of uncertainty for our entire region, we are now strengthening our part of the world together, said Prime Minister Tusk. Now, right? Okay. Now then, last night, Russia was naturally at this point, unfortunately, bombing Ukraine. On the way to Ukraine, they also managed to hit Moldova. And so Russian drone crashed in Moldova. It kind of landed there and then right outside the Russian ambassador's office. And so what happened is Russian drone that fell inside Moldova landed directly outside Russian embassy compound in Chisinau or Kishinev, that's in the Russian pronunciation. Ambassador Oleg Ozerov responded with Cold War-style theatrics, claiming the drone was originally shot down over Kharkiv region in Ukraine, and then Ukraine somehow repaired and relaunched it and placed the drone in front of his goddamn home. The Moldovan Foreign Ministry summoned Ozerov and presented him with a destroyed drone that had fallen on the residential building. The ambassador pretended there was nothing on the doorstep, but was handed an official note of protest for violating Moldova's airspace. I do believe this video is either in Russian, but it does show the drone. Take a look. Oh, it shows nothing. Okay, no sound. All right, so he's arriving here. He has been summoned to Moldovan Foreign Ministry, right? And this is the drone that landed right in front of his doorstep, and he said, well, he didn't see it. So Russians love fairy tales. Who also loves fairy tales is China. Now, China accuses the U.S. of violating the UN Charter. China accuses U.S. for violating the UN Charter. Not Russia, that they, whose massacre in Ukraine they have been financially supporting. Not perhaps even themselves, because they've been cruising over Taiwan and claiming Taiwan is theirs. They also lied that PRC was, fighting in World War II, completely ignoring the history. But China said the United States is breaching the UN Charter. You know why? Because Washington imposed visa restrictions targeting Central American nationals accused of acting on behalf of Chinese Communist Party and threatening regional stability. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio / I call him Ariel recently because, sing and he can't. Anyway, said the policy will apply to individuals and their immediate family members. The Chinese embassy responded sharply on Twitter. Turning visas into political leverage runs against the UN Charter and the principles of sovereign equality and non-interference. What are you doing with Taiwan? Okay, Central America is no one's backyard. But Taiwan is your apparently backyard, right? And Ukraine is Putin's backyard, where he kills people on the daily. Or what is that? Now, Panama's president earlier claimed the U.S. embassy threatened to cancel visas of Panamanian officials. The U.S. has repeatedly voiced concern over China's growing footprint in Latin America, a region historically under Washington's sphere of influence. And now let's talk about this saga at this point. Kremlin, D.C. against Kiev, apparently. Yes, there were documents leaked. Yes, we spoke about it briefly yesterday. And so let's dive a little bit deeper, if you will, right? Let me pull up this picture for visual results here. Witkoff bows to Kremlin. Quote, I have deep respect for President Putin. A leaked transcript exposes the White House's pro-Russia lobby and throws U.S.-Ukraine policy into chaos. A sensational leak published by Bloomberg yesterday has revealed private conversations between U.S. real estate mogul, right? We call him a mogul at this point, Google mogul, and Trump special envoy Steve Witkoff, and Yuri Ushakov, that is Yuri Ushakov, right? Vladimir Putin's longtime foreign policy advisor. The transcripts paint a disturbing picture. U.S. negotiator flattering, advising, and effectively carrying water for the Kremlin, while shaping Trump's view of Putin, Ukraine, and broader negotiation process. So why don't we just read this crap out, right? So let me pull it up because I can't see everything this small. Okay, so here we go. Steve Witkoff says, Yuri, talking to this guy, who looks like he died yesterday. Yuri, here's what I would do, my recommendation. Yuri says, yes, please. Witkoff, I would make the call and just reiterate that you congratulate the president on this achievement. This, he's referring to Israel, right? That you supported it, that you respect that he is a man of peace, and you're really glad to have to seen it happen. So I would say that. I think from that, it's going to be a really good call. Because let me tell you what I told the president. I told the president that the Russian Federation has always wanted a peace deal. That's my belief. I told the president I believe that. And I believe the question is, the issue is that we have two nations that are having a hard time coming to a compromise, and when we do, we're going to have a peace deal. I'm even thinking that maybe we set out like a 20-point peace proposal, just like we did with Gaza. We put a 20-point Trump plan together that was 20 points for peace, and I'm thinking maybe we do the same thing with you. My point is, and hold on here, with Gaza, they still don't have the 20 points. So Yuri says, okay, my friends. I think that very point our leaders could discuss. Hey, Steve, I agree with you that he will congratulate. He will say that Mr. Trump is a real peace man and so, that he will say, Witkoff, but here's what I think would be amazing, Yuri. Okay. Steve Witkoff. What if, hear me out, Yuri. I will discuss that with my boss and then I come back to you, okay? Witkoff. Yeah, because listen to what I'm saying. I just want you to say, maybe just to say this to President Putin, because, I have the deepest respect for President Putin. Ushakov. Yes. Witkoff. Maybe he says to President Trump, Steve and Yuri discussed a very similar 20-point plan to peace, and that could be something that we think might move the needle a little bit. We're open to those sorts of things to explore what's going to take it to get a peace deal done. Now, me to you. I know what's going to take to get a peace deal done. Donetsk and maybe a land swap somewhere. But I'm saying instead of talking like that, let's talk more hopefully, because I think we're going to get to a deal here. And I think Yuri, the president, will get me a lot of space and discretion to that deal. Yuri, I see. Witkoff. So if we can create that opportunity that after this I talk to Yuri and with a conversation, and I think this could lead to big stuff. Yuri. Okay, that sounds good. Witkoff. And here's one more thing. Zelensky is coming to the White House on Friday. Yuri. I know that. Haha. Witkoff. I will go to that meeting because they want me there, but I think if possible, we have to call with your boss before the Friday meeting. Yuri. Before? Yeah? Witkoff. Correct. Ushakov. Okay, I got your advice. So I discussed that with my boss and then I come back to you, okay? Witkov. Okay, Yuri, I'll speak to you soon. Yuri says, great. Thank you so much. Thanks to you. And Witkov says, bye-bye. This is a special envoy who's supposed to lead a discussion with the murderous country that is violating UN Charter that China is so worried about, violating also Vienna and then Helsinki agreements, all of them, right? It's just literally stealing territory by murdering people in Ukraine that did not provoke anything. And they started this war in 2014, and then they did a full-scale invasion, right? Now, almost 4 years ago. Now, what do you think President Trump is saying? Thankfully for us, we don't have to wonder, because he was asked about this leak while flying to Mar-a-Lago yesterday. Please take a listen.
They're going to keep talking. They're talking to Russia now. Steve Witkoff is going over, maybe with Jared. I'm not sure about Jared going, but he's involved in the process, smart guy, and they're going to be meeting with President Putin, I believe, next week in Moscow.
Next week in Moscow?
I think so, yes.
What kinds of concerns?
And when he was asked about this leak as to the tone that Witkoff was, using to talk to these murderers, Trump said, well, but they have to sell Ukraine to Russia. And I wonder why media, and I will explain something to you here so you understand. Maybe you're from Europe. And you wonder why this sentence never made to you. I'll post the video. That video shows Trump. I don't like videos that show Trump here, if you didn't notice. I'll post that video. It's a direct quote from him. I put this quote on Blue Sky yesterday and on X as well. He is selling Ukraine to Russia. He's doing that thing. And then he turns to Ukraine and tells them another thing. That's how you do deals. Well, this is not real estate. This is not how you're supposed to solve wars. And why this sentence never made to your attention? Why? Because if I study, and believe me, I did study the European media. You know what they do? They open CNN, NBC, CBS, BBC, and all this coverage, Axios and Politico. They take it because it's in English. They translate it into their language, could be Russian, Ukrainian, whatever. And then this is their breaking news. That is what they're reporting a bit later than when it premieres here. So American media is the get-go for anything else to go. Now, of course, if something is coming out of Ukraine, let's say from the front lines or from the government in Ukraine itself, even though sometimes you hear it from here first, and then they translate it and put it up in Europe. So this is how that journalism works, okay? And now here media decides not to give voice to any European leaders. And starting this week, I started putting up quotes from European leaders because they call the thing a thing. They speak about the legal violations here. They have good ideas, and we have more of that today. But the media here decides not to give it any oxygen. So you are now bubbled into this shit show, just listening to what Trump says and what Trump tweets and what Trump says and what Trump tweets. This gets translated, and Europe is also then destined to hear what Trump tweets and what Trump says. Okay? So the sentence that Witkoff's idea was to sell Ukraine, quoting the president of the United States, was never picked up by this media. Why? Also, the fact that Axios, as I keep mentioning here, had a 3-day deal. They were fed the document. There's also another leaked chat between Dmitriev and Ushakov where they said, okay, we're going to, pretend that this is U.S. document, right? We're just going to leak it. And then they leaked it to Axios, bypassing goddamn Steve Witkoff. Because when he saw the document, the 28 surrender plan, right? The 28-point surrender plan premiering, like being leaked online, he commented thinking, again, that this is some type of a direct message to somebody. He said, oh, they must have gotten this from K meaning Kirill Dmitriev. And so Dmitriev and Ushakov were laughing how they gonna leak the document. They leaked it to Axios. The reporter by Axios, or who's at Axios who leaked it, is a reporter who recently became a journalist and or returned to his journalistic duties. He was a spokesperson for Defense Minister of Israel, Gallant. And he also was part of the Israeli intelligence service. So I let you make up whatever you want to make up. Those are just facts. But why the media never gets to the bottom of it? How did the leak happen? Because if you ask me, I think Russia, I mean, you don't have to ask me, we have leaks that Russia did it, right? And Axios is touting their horn and tooting their horn and saying that this is us, right? This is we who exclusively leaked it. So now, what does Moscow do? Moscow first responded with denials, obviously. Kremlin Wealth Fund head, this is Kirill Dmitriev, the K, right? The so-called K in the message of Witkoff. He called the transcripts fake, but Ushakov, so you can, Ushakov himself offered something more revealing, an excuse. He said he claimed the leak may have occurred because he sometimes conducts work calls over WhatsApp that is banned in Russia for being a terrorist. He said encrypted government lines almost never leak, but WhatsApp is different. If the call really took place on WhatsApp, let's just, play devil's advocate. We have 4 different options here, right? WhatsApp has a secret backdoor, which Matter denied. Ushakov's device maybe is infected with spyware, and the call was captured that way, but then it's Russians who leaked the call. Now, we're not talking about the document leaking to Axios. We're talking about the call itself that I read out, right? Third option, he used that is now blaming the app to cover his own operational failure, right? Or the fourth option, the Kremlin recorded and leaked the call themselves to show how full of everything is this administration, and that, essentially Trump got a document that he didn't read. He presented it as his own, and then he pushed the victim on behalf of the aggressor to concede. And this is all that we're discussing. Is Zelensky going to sign with the U.S.? Is Zelensky going to sign with Trump? Zelensky said this. Zelensky said that. Are we going to sign? Is Ukraine at war with the U.S.? Why are we so bothering what Zelensky will sign with the U.S.? Bother what Russia will sign with the U.S. And why, you just heard the president, why is his son-in-law headed to Moscow? When we know Jared Kushner shows up when he smells money. He acts on behalf of the Trump family. What Trump cannot cite himself, he's there. Then there are other leaks today that say that, at the same token, Jared Kushner is interested in becoming a shareholder of Lukoil. So, U.S. lawmakers demand Witkoff's removal. After Bloomberg published a transcript, outrage, of course, erupted in Capitol Hill, but not so much, though. Don Bacon called Witkoff completely on Russia's side. He said, could a paid Russian agent do any worse? He should be fired. The Republican then, Brian Fitzpatrick, and Democrat Ted Lieu also condemned Witkoff, accusing him of betraying U.S. national interests and undermining Ukraine's security. But this is not the response that actually this whole situation deserves. I think we can agree on that. Now, the Telegraph, of course, observed that Witkoff advised Russia to shower Trump with praise, raising questions about the entire negotiation process. Then Sky News went further, calling him a useful idiot who has increased, of course, risks for Ukraine and Europe. Quote, under normal circumstances, such an official would be fired as hopelessly compromised, but under Trump, scandals have stopped meaning anything. Now, meanwhile, Russia is not making any concessions. I do have a video. It does have translation. You will have to read it. This is Russian deputy foreign minister who works right under Lavrov, Sergei Rybkov. He stated that Moscow will not make any new concessions in the peace deal. He's referring to some deal that they made in Anchorage, Alaska. There was no transcript. We don't know what was there. But Russia constantly keeps reminding specifically Trump himself on that meeting in Anchorage. Whatever they saw there, that they ran with the eyes wide open, right? Remember those reports here. But Russia keeps nailing that. Like, whatever concessions, that's the meeting. That's the meeting. Do they have something on him and then they agreed not to release it? Is that the concession? Because when asked, Trump said, well, Russia does make concessions. And the reporter said, what kind of concessions, right? All that happened on a board of Air Force One when he was flying to Mar-a-Lago. And he said, well, they agreed to stop hitting Ukraine and taking more territory. Well, this is called ceasefire. This is not called concessions. But this is what Russia had to say. Please read it.
Мы приветствуем усилия администрации Трампа по поиску разумных решений, разумных развязок. Различные версии этого плана – это переговорный момент, ни о каких уступках, ни о какой сдаче наших подходов к тем ключевым моментам решения задач, стоящих перед нами, в том числе в контексте СВО, не может быть и речи. Я подчеркиваю, что различные элементы Анкориджа, они сами по себе представляют компромиссные решения. Об этом тоже говорил президент Российской Федерации. Вот та база, по которой мы будем сверяться, когда изучим и продолжим обсуждение версии, которая сейчас на столе или будет на столе. Но это вопрос дипломатической и политической техники, а не вопрос, который можно обсуждать в режиме онлайн, поскольку слишком серьезные вещи сейчас находятся в фокусе внимания.
Спасибо.
He's reading a statement. But we never get any statement released. Why don't we have that goddamn statement to read so we can dissect it? So, let's sum it up, okay? If somebody missed a point, here's your little summary. I call it a manipulated process because I'm being diplomatic. It's the Thanksgiving Eve, yes? So, first, Russia, the aggressor, drafted a maximalist illegal wish list. Then fed it to Steve Witkoff, who presented it to Trump as a viable U.S. proposal. Trump endorsed it without reading it, naturally, and pressured Ukraine the victim to accept it, while Russia leaked the whole manipulation only to announce that they won't consider any peace plan anyway. So this Witkoff gate is not just a leak, it's a blueprint of how Russia has bypassed institutions, compromised U.S. diplomacy, and exploited Trump's inner circle, all while refusing to negotiate in good faith. And now the world gets to read the playbook. So, and Irina, I truly appreciate it. Olga knows the roots of news, and that's why we're here. Plus, smiling. Oh, thank you. That's my goal. I mean, that's my survival, I guess, sort of instinct here, just to make it maybe funny. I don't know, but thank you for this comment. I truly appreciate you. Now, moments, right? Sometimes we present here little moments. Here's a bit of a somber moment, especially for Ukrainians. Remember the attacks, because we talk about civilians and civilians being hit and dying. Also important is the electric grid. So here's a video. It has no sound, so I'm going to talk over it. So AP footage here, as you see, shows destroyed Naftogaz infrastructure after Russian strikes. Newly released AP video here shows extensive damage to Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Several facilities appear completely wiped out, forcing Ukraine to rely more heavily. And guess what? Ukraine will be buying more gas from EU and United States. This increased purchases from United States. Deals, huh? Now, also, I want to for you to listen to this video by now activist and speaker, but he is very much known as the 13th world chess champion, Garry Kasparov, who delivered today a sharp, uncompromising critique of Russia and US itself as well. This video is, 2 minutes, 20 seconds. You will not regret spending time watching it. Please take a look.
I'm getting desperate. Mm-hmm. This is the best, show Putin can hope for. Not a single straight answer. It's not about how many weapons you have, ammunition. It's, are you willing to fight and die? Oh, it's nice. You have a Canadian-led brigade in Latvia. What's the order for this brigade? Will they shoot if Russians cross the border? We know the answer. It will take ages to negotiate. I still didn't hear a clear response to, it's not, I can't even imagine this. How can we discuss seriously the deal made by Trump's business partner? It's a real estate deal to enrich Trump's family and sell Ukraine. And how can we seriously discuss that Ukraine will have to give up fortifications that are saving Europe? We're celebrating NATO. NATO is not strong. NATO doesn't exist. It's a fake. It's NATO, 4 letters. The reason you are still sitting here and celebrating it, Ukraine is dying every minute. It's a massive sacrifice. If not for Ukraine standing in front of Russia, Russian tanks would be already in Poland. You all suggested that Ukraine would give up. You offered Zelensky a right. And he said, I don't need right ammunition. 4 years Ukraine is fighting for the whole Europe. NATO was built to fight only one war, not to go to Afghanistan, not to go to Syria, one war to save free Europe from Russian aggression. Ukraine is the only country that is fighting this war, and we're still discussing, should we include them or not? Ukraine is the only country that is fulfilling NATO's destiny. And we owe them everything. Oh, let's sacrifice them. And Zelensky is making, I don't know even how to explain this choice. As a Russian, I also feel guilty. That's why I cannot tell him, show Trump middle finger. But again, we have how many senators we have here? Are you going to tell Donald Trump that he cannot do that? You have 85 is more than 2/3, yes? If I'm out of 100.
Senator?
So, yes, how come that, this bill is still sitting somewhere on the floor of the Senate, and it's not still being done? Putin, Xi Jinping, all others, they are celebrating it. And by the way, Russia has North Korean, they have Cubans, they have Africans.
Thank you, our dear Canadian friends, for hosting him. As we see, he was in Halifax and speaking, right? Now, continuing moments. Now, what does Hungary do? Their foreign minister, Szijjártó, I can't pronounce his name. Now, he says, quote, yes to Serbia's EU membership, no to Ukraine's EU membership. This is Hungary's position. Also, Hungary's position is to be very much dependent on financial aid for Europe from European Union. Recently, I put out a deep dive in an article where I presented all the legal ways to ensure that Hungary does not violate whatever the policy European Union chooses. I hope this will come down to that. Now, remember the potato head Lukashenko, the head of Belarus. He got a visit from Vladimir Putin. I want first, it's in Russian, who cares listening to it, but check out just the visual. How Putin is seated there, how he's listening to Lukashenko, who is economy is non-existent. Lukashenko hosts truly Russian troops and the training, and remember Trump sent our Air Force to check up on that training there in the summer this year. But Belarus is nowhere near to be in the need of respected, right? By Putin, who is invading Ukraine and harassing other countries. Belarusian ruler Alexander Lukashenko suggested hosting Russia-Ukraine negotiations in Minsk. And he said, would you mind coming to Minsk again? And Putin said, yes. Take a look just for the visuals.
Если у вас будет желание вернуться в Минск снова, это к месту будет. Вы знаете, мы всегда готовы. А что касается Украины, нас часто упрекают, вы знаете.
So Putin is there, hokey, have you ever had a kid on that high chair, eating food and throwing spaghetti on the floor? That's the visual here. Certainly not that Putin that was showing up in Anchorage and, dancing with Trump and making some, off-the-record agreements. And this is Lukashenko, nowhere near to, can't even compare it to the United States. Get a map. Now, let's go to France now. Macron is expected anywhere this week to unveil voluntary military service. French President Macron is reportedly preparing to announce voluntary national service for young people, designated to boost Europe's readiness amid the threat posed by Russia. French MP Jean-Claude Roy, right, said, quote, the threat exists not only for France, but for all Europe. So now they are following the suit of several countries and are opening this new type of recruitment. I think Germany is also on that path as well. Now, going more into the Pacific, Taiwan also announced a landmark $40 billion defense package. President Lai Ching-te unveiled $40 billion supplementary defense budget to counter China's expanding military threat. He also said that they should be ready by 2027. This deadline is, whenever I had my interview with the senior national security advisor of Taiwan, they said we are ready. We know to expect this invasion imminently, and China put the deadline 2027, and I guess they just follow suit here. Now, Lai said, quote, our security, our democracy, our responsibility. Today, I announced major initiatives to safeguard peace in Taiwan Strait. This multi-year package will vastly enhance Taiwan's asymmetric capabilities. Now, my question is, how far are you relying on the United States? Because I completely agree with Garry Kasparov that there will take so many negotiations and so many vetoes not to help you when the help is needed. So who are you relying upon? And hopefully this is Europe now in this case. Now, Japan now, remember this remarks that the new Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi made that they see invasion of Taiwan as a threat, national security threat to Japan, which caused this whole hoopla from China. They threatened to cut her head off and all this kind of stuff. This continues now for, second or even third week. Now, TV Tokyo confirmed that any attack on Taiwan could rightfully be seen as an attack on Japan. I did get a translation, so please take a look. This was on national television in Japan today.
台湾に対して中国が軍事的手段などを用いて強制的に統一を図ろうとする事態が、これがですね、日本にとって存立危機事態になるのかどうかです。 まず結論から言いますと、存立危機事態になり得ます。これが事実です。つまり高市総理の発言の内容は正しいと言えます。
So they're just doubling down and making this the official statement. Now, meanwhile, India rejected China's claims on, I will butcher it, I'm sorry, Arunachal Pradesh, right? The part, and there was a woman who traveled to China, she got detained, and that's how this whole brouhaha started. But India's government firmly reaffirmed its sovereignty. Arunachal Pradesh is an integral and inalienable part of India. No amount of denial by the Chinese side is going to change this indisputable reality. And China claimed that, territory yesterday, right? And once UN Charter is violated, if any type of signature is done, right, by Zelensky or Ukrainian side, conceding territory, then we are in this uncharted territory here as well. Meanwhile, Argentina, right, we gave them 20 bill, then 20 bill more. So Milei, right, his government has been reelected. So Argentina's president released a video showing him doing this. This is first minister's or cabinet meeting. This is a song called Vamos por la Gloria by La Berizo. So please, YouTube, don't block me here, but this is the beginning of their first ministerial cabinet meeting in this new season. Take a look. The government buyout, I mean, wouldn't you be jumping? So, quick national news. We have some breaking news here. North Carolina can use Republican-friendly congressional map. Court says the ruling means that the Republican Party is one step closer to securing another seat in the U.S. House and retaining its majority at the urging of President Trump. More national news. FCC warns of hijacked U.S. radio systems broadcasting fake emergency alerts. Hackers have compromised U.S. radio transmission equipment, triggering the emergency alert system's attention signal, the sound meant to precede warnings for tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, and other disasters. The FCC confirmed a string of cyber intrusions. Now, Supreme Court delays the ruling on Trump's attempt to remove top copyright official. The decision remains unresolved, leaving the official in place for now as legal battles over federal personnel intensify. Also, Trump administration moves to end humanitarian protection for Haitians. TPS, the temporary protected status, right, for Haitians is now scheduled to end on February 3rd, despite soaring gang violence in Haiti and over 1 million internally displaced people. Now, here's an interesting story. Immigration authorities detained a relative to White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. ICE detained Bruna Caroline Ferreira, the aunt of Caroline Leavitt's nephew, brother's sister, saying she overstayed a tourist visa. Her family disputes this, claiming she held legal DACA status. Do you think Caroline will defend the wife of the brother, or his brother trying to get rid of the wife? Who knows? But hella weird. Now, Federal Reserve, they have a beige book, right? U.S. economic activity, little changed, they say. Labor market weakening. Half of the Fed's districts reported weaker employment, and consumer spending is trending down. You don't say. Now, good news for Trump again. Georgia election interference case against Trump is now dismissed. Georgia judge threw out the final remaining criminal case involving Trump's alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election. And USDA chief economist Seth Mayer, not Seth Meyers, steps down. He will join University of Missouri's Food and Agricultural Policy Institute. National parks now introduced America First fee for foreign tourists, if there are any at this point. 11 iconic parks, including Yellowstone, Yosemite, and Grand Canyon, will impose new $100 plus fees for international visitors. I want to see those international visitors. Can we get a count? And now, quick corporate and tech roundup. Apple is on track to overtake Samsung as the world's top smartphone maker, thanks to surging iPhone 17 sales. Kind of looks cheap. Did you get the iPhone 17? It looks very like a toy. Anyway, Dick's Sporting Goods will close several Foot Locker locations in next year's restructuring. Paramount is in talks to distribute Rush Hour 4, the movie, reportedly after Trump personally encouraged Larry Ellison to revive the franchise. And Campbell's Soup executive has been placed on leave after he allegedly said that the company's products are for poor people. Quick defense news. 2 National Guard members, as I mentioned, were shot near the White House. Conflicting reports on their condition then were released. Initial statements from West Virginia governors suggested that both have passed. Then the later said they were, and the situation remains unclear. They're in, some type of... So anyway, then we had Kash Patel adding to this confusion. Take a look.
As you can see behind me, we have assembled the full force of both the federal and state and local law enforcement agencies to bring bear all of our resources to make sure we find the perpetrators responsible for this heinous act. And make no mistake, they will be brought to justice.
From what we know, and I watched videos from people who saw this happen, there were 3 people. 2 were National Guard members who got shot, and then the shooter got shot himself as well. So he was the 3rd person who got shot. And certainly he is there. And I listened also to some comms and police reports where they said the shooter is deceased, then the shooter is in stable condition, but both National Guard members are in critical condition. Let me do some research while we watch the next video, because the next video is Hexeth, Secretary of Defense/War. He went to the Caribbean, right? He is in Dominican Republic, the U.S. Defense Secretary. So he went to Dominican Republic, okay, period. The U.S. Defense Secretary said Washington hopes more countries will accept U.S. troops in their territory for anti-narcotics missions. DR is accepting now the troops. Money rules. My question is, why are you doing this to yourself? Because the troops will come with ICE together, and I don't know. So he's now extending the friendly offer, presumably to Mexico and Venezuela, to now use the friendly way of accepting U.S. troops, which actually legally is called invasion. He also, in his video, announced that he's deploying 500 more National Guard troops to D.C. as a result of the shooting that did occur today. Please watch this video. Meanwhile, I'll do research on the latest.
Very productive meetings, but I want to start by saying after those meetings, myself and my team were notified that 2 National Guardsmen have been shot in Washington, D.C., critically wounded. The shooter shot in a cowardly, dastardly act targeting the best of America, heroes willing to serve in Washington, D.C., serve for people they don't know and they've never met because they love their country and their capital and their community. They were willing to do dangerous things others were not because they love their fellow Americans. Someone decided to turn that into targeting National Guardsmen. That will only stiffen our resolve. We will never back down. We will secure our capital. We will secure our cities. In fact, this happened just steps away from the White House. It will not stand. And that's why President Trump has asked me, and I will ask the Secretary of the Army to the National Guard, to add 500 additional troops, National Guardsmen, to Washington, D.C. This will only stiffen our resolve to ensure that we make Washington, D.C. safe and beautiful. The drop in
Question is, the troops were ruled by the court, right, to be deployed illegally. Whose fault is that they were there? They're collecting trash. We're laughing that they're National Gardener and not National Guard. All, fun and games, but here we are. I just looked up the latest. The latest is that FBI now says they have identified the shooter who is in hospital, who was reportedly there the entire time. There's a video that is disturbing that shows the shooting going on and the struggle at the location. Then one of the National Guardsmen was getting first aid administered to him, and all are in critical condition. Nothing else has been released except for a statement from President Biden. He says, no, former President Biden, he says, Jill and I are heartbroken that 2 members of National Guard were shot outside the White House. We are praying for the service members and their families. And allegedly now, since both guardsmen were from West Virginia, let me see. Yes, West Virginia. Let's confirm. Okay, just want to make sure. I think it's West Virginia. Yes, so West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey, said he spoke to Trump about the 2 National Guardsmen from the state who were shot in Washington, D.C. earlier this afternoon. Trump says that he is standing behind the troops, and now to double down on this, they're adding 500 more National Guard troops to D.C. I have my thoughts. I will not share them. This is ongoing investigation. If you want to know my thoughts, just message me and we'll talk about it. All we can say is that we're praying for this National Guard, troops to recover and survive. And certainly this is a horrible situation that nobody ever deserves to be in. But then the question should be, what should be done next, right? Not doubling down on whatever, led to this. So, meanwhile, Pentagon added Alibaba, Baidu, and BYD to Chinese military-linked company list. So if you want to shop on Alibaba, which was your maybe another option next to Amazon, no. Bloomberg reports that Pentagon has concluded the 3 companies support Chinese military activity. So now you will have issues to place your orders there. Now, new details on Operation Midnight Hammer, right? The Air Force confirmed that F-35As involved in June 22 strike on Iranian nuclear sites conducted both SEAD operations and provided fighter cover for departing aircraft. And so they were not included in that operation or officially not mentioned to be a part of it, but now they are. Now, Space Force awards contracts for space-based missile interceptors. So now this Golden Dome is going into space. Multiple firms will build prototypes capable of destroying missiles within minutes of launch from space. B-52 Stratofortress deployment to Spain concludes. The mission included training operations over the Middle East and Africa. Meanwhile, airlifters to stay in service longer. The Air Force plans to keep aging C-5s and C-17s flying far beyond this earlier retirement timeline, raising concerns among former mobility leaders. So they had their earlier retirement timeline, and now it's no longer due. HPE to modernize Defense Information Systems Agency with hybrid cloud, right? The HPE will overhaul DISA data centers under major modernization contract. Again, many are questioning the security issues here. Meanwhile, Boeing won another $2.47 billion contract for 15 more KC-46A tankers. This follows last year's similar award for another batch of 15. Initial order was for 100, so we're still within those, announced numbers. And now, as to quick global news, South Africa won't be invited to the 2026 G20 summit, which will be hosted by Trump in Miami next year. Trump confirmed that South Africa would not receive any invitation after U.S. bamboozled South Africa and did not go to Johannesburg to attend the G20, but then requested Johannesburg to still welcome U.S. representative for the closing ceremony so he can get the torch, right? I think, whatever, metaphorically speaking, to pass on to U.S., right, for the G20 hosted in Miami. And then South Africa said that, no, this will not be happening. Meanwhile, U.S. and Taiwan are negotiating investment deal tied to workforce training. Sources say Taiwan may expand investment in U.S. semiconductor and advanced manufacturing sectors as part of ongoing negotiations. Always check with ICE, because you know what happened with South Korea here. Meanwhile, tariff exclusions for Chinese imports have been extended. U.S. granted a 1-year extension for certain industrial and medical items, including equipment used in manufacturing solar products. Are we realizing that everything is getting hella expensive and you can't, in any way balance it? Looks like it. Meanwhile, EU Parliament, and this, I would love to hear from you whether you like this idea or not, EU Parliament voted to ban social media for under 16 years of age. The measure passed to 483 votes in favor, 92 against, potentially requiring ID verification for all users and eliminating anonymous accounts. So now everybody will be with the name, with the ID, either publicly or not, but the platform will know all your passport data, which intention is good. Realization, feasibility of it is interesting to see how they're going to do it. Now, Trump. Okay, I'm back. The whole internet went down. I had to connect my phone and do this through the phone. Thank you for being here with me. So, meanwhile, Trump's softened deadline for Ukraine, US/Kremlin deal, right? He's tackling back. He promised that this Thursday, right, the Thanksgiving Thursday, would be the deadline to sort of finish the war. Again, obviously, that wasn't achieved. So now he's saying November 27 deadline is no longer fixed. Quote, the deadline for me is when it's over. That's an interesting deadline. Meanwhile, NATO and Ukraine launched Unite Brave NATO Innovation Initiative. The program will pool innovators to address immediate battlefield challenges and accelerate defense technology learning. And meanwhile, NATO still wants not to accept Ukraine. I mean, here I'm siding with Garry Kasparov. Like, what are you waiting for, honestly? NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte will visit Iceland on November 27, which is tomorrow. He will meet Iceland's prime minister and foreign minister and address parliamentarians. Now, U.S. amasses large warship presence in the Caribbean. We keep reporting this on the daily. Defense Secretary Haxas was obviously, as I showed you, in Santo Domingo today to meet Dominican leadership as the buildup continues. So now they're going to also deploy troops in Santo Domingo or in the Dominican Republic, expanding the footprint in the Caribbean. Now, this is horrible, honestly. Massive Hong Kong apartment fire at this point killed 36 people with 279 missing. It was a devastating blaze that tore through multiple high-rise buildings in Taipo, spreading rapidly through the bamboo scaffolding and construction netting. Just watch the video. It's just incredible.
哇天啊，好誇張啊！真係全部燒晒。
唔俾入大埔啊嘛！哇，撞咗！
哎呦！
呢度撞咗，掛住睇啦。
Horrible. So altogether, firefighter Ho Wai Ho died in the operation. Officials paid tribute, calling his actions selfless, of course. And then over 2,000 apartments were located in this affected complex. Just imagine. Now, meanwhile, Argentina fired warning shots at Chinese illegal fishing fleet. So Argentina says that hundreds of Chinese illegal boats, right, those vessels, are operating in its waters each day illegally, targeting giant squid using bright lights visible from space. The country loses billions in marine resources annually. Now, all of this is according to Argentina. But what went down is pretty epic. Take a look.
Nuevamente, avisándole que vamos a tirarle a las antenas. A las antenas, fuego libre. Alto el fuego.
Detenga sus máquinas ahora o continuará recibiendo más fuego directo.
Ok, fuego libre,
Attention fishing vessel Xin Chuan 626. This is Argentine Coast Guard vessel Mantilla. You're responsible for the safety of your crew and your ship.
From dancing to shooting, Argentina is certainly in the news. Yes, the poor people, in Hong Kong. It's crazy, Linda. Yeah, I agree. And now to finish on a humanity note, as I always try to do it here, Anon, right? I mean, if you have been to Rome, anywhere near Colosseum, you kind of know that they are often walking out and literally solving the traffic situation issue. So Anon stepped into chaotic jam near the Colosseum and began directing traffic with calm authority, instantly becoming a local sensation. So yes, this visual is from Fox News. Who cares? This is from Rome. So take a look. So, and on this note, we're done with the news. Please expect your briefing, your newsletter shortly. Newsletter will be tomorrow. Newsletter will also be on Friday. So we're not taking any days off here. Friday, we're meeting with Honest Plus community. If you would like to join or check out, I know YouTube gives you offers too. Select the lowest, whatever membership. There's a button called join. So you can join us for a deep dive on Friday. Friday, we're talking about disinformation and all the rules that we are signing in the US when we are using apps. Also, what are the same apps presenting as rules in other countries? Also, what is the scale of propaganda machine? What are the sources of disinformation in the US, in Europe, also worldwide, and Canada as well? And that's where we're going to get the picture of what rules the social media algorithms and the media itself. So this is what we're diving into on Friday. And you can also watch all the deep dives we did before, which was on the Arctic and the Shadow Fleet and the BlackRock and all that situation. So there are some that you can also rewatch as well. And then tomorrow we'll see. If there's a lot of news, I'll be live and reporting on it, maybe earlier, right? Not 7 or 8 p.m. I know with your families and all, maybe like around 2, 3 p.m. So it's kind of like before your dinner time in the US. But certainly I would love to still report on the news tomorrow. And then Fridays are a deep dive per usual. All right. So newsletter for sure coming out daily. So again, I wish you, if you are in US or somewhere where you're celebrating Thanksgiving, I wish you a very peaceful holiday with your loved ones or alone. You choose whatever floats your boat. Know that you're needed. know that you're very much appreciated here. And if you have any requests or, questions, concerns, always, email me, message here, comment below, or on socials. I'm pretty responsive, so we can build everything around your interest, of course, right? So here, factual information is the love language, but also we need to discuss topics that are of an interest to you. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate you. Have a peaceful night. Keep your head on a swivel. Please tune out of news if that doesn't make you anywhere happy. And always make sure to take care of you. All right, happy Thanksgiving and have a good night.